Welcome, my friends. Let us go ahead and get started right away as we begin our journey. I want us to just hit right into it, and we're going to start off trying to understand how equations are built. And really, it comes to a simple question. What is the purpose of multiplication? If we can begin to understand that, you can pause and think about it for a minute, but if we can understand that, we're going to be able to go very far in this unit. So let's try to understand it. All right, here we go. So let's start with this scenario. A student wanted to save money. She's going to put 3/4 in a container every day. So, I'll draw a very nice, cute little container here. How about something like that? Okay. And she's going to put in 3/4 every day. Fill in the table below and determine how much money she will have in the container after 120 days. So first thing to note, we have 0, 0 because before she even got started, she had $0 in this container. Then after 1 day passes by, she's going to put 3/4 into the container. So now we're going to have 3 here, right? And I'll, maybe use a different color. We have 3 here. Okay, well, when it goes to the second day, well, how many quarters will she have in the container total? Well, she's going to put another 3. And so she's going to have a total of 6. Okay, and you can see if we continue this pattern, on the third day, she's going to add another 3. And if she continues doing this, all right, well, in here, we're going to get 9. Well, how about over here? We're going to get 12, right? 9, 10, 11, 12. So look here. That's how we were able to fill out this table, is just visually we can put them into the container. But really the question we want to hit on, and now that we're all zoomed in nice and neat, I'll go ahead and just backtrack a little. Okay, now what we really want to hit on, my friends, is this question. Well, how many quarters will she have in here after 120 days? Now, think about that for a minute. If we try to draw this every single time, that's going to be pretty challenging. So we want to try to think of a shortcut that will allow us to do this. Well, that's why multiplication was invented, my friends. And let's think about this for a minute, right? If you notice here, you're going to add 3 once to get here. Then you're going to add 3 again, put into the container, and you get 6, right? Starting off at 0. 1 day passes by, you put 3 in. Another day, 3 plus 3 is 6. Another day passes by, you're going to add 3, and you're going to get 9. Another day passes by, add 3, and you're going to get 12. Okay? Well, let's think about that for a minute. How does multiplication help us with this? Well, what's 3 times 2? Well, 3 times 2 is 6 because 3 plus 3 is 6. Recall, multiplication is just a shortcut for addition. And so you see here, we had to add twice, 1 here, 2 here, and that's how we got to 6 on the second day. So if I want to know how much quarters is in a container after 120 days, well, all that really needs to be done is multiply it by 3 by 120. Okay, and if we do that, 120 times 3, we're going to get 360 quarters. So we're going to get 360 quarters in that container. Okay, and that's how we can use multiplication to help us with problems like this. Notice multiplication is just a shortcut for adding, and that's all there is to it. So if I wanted to maybe write an equation for this, I could write y is equal to, well, 3. Well, here you see this x on the corner. That's just saying that we're going to let that represent any number that we want. It could be 120. How many quarters are in 500 days? Well, you would do 3 times 500. And the way for us to express this is, well, 3 times x, right? Whatever day that is. So 3 times x. And that would make sense, right? If you plug in 2, y is equal to 3 times 2. If you plug in 2 for x, well, 3 times 2 is 6, right? And on the second day, we had 6 quarters. If you have y is equal to 3x, and now I ask you, how many quarters are there in after 120 days? Well, you can put the 120 in for x, and we get y is equal to 3 times 120, which is 360, which is what we already did, and we get the 360 quarters. Okay? So one of the things that might be helpful, though, is since x over here and our table represented the number of days, the y is representing total quarters, right? And so it might be helpful to note that x just means number of days, whatever day that could be, whatever you decide. And then when we plug that in, that's going to give us a total amount of quarters in the container. So total amount of quarters. And we'll fill it in there, all right? So let's go ahead and take a look at maybe another example, okay? And that's with something called y equals, we had y equals 3x there. So let's see, some bank fees, if you don't have a minimum amount, so pretty much at banks, a lot of the time you need to have a minimum amount in a bank account, or else they'll start charging you fees for not having the minimum amount. So let's pretend you had a friend who didn't know this, and they took out all the money to go to that Kendrick Lamar concert that was at the Tacoma Dome this year. And when they took all that money out, well, every month that's going to pass by, they're going to get charged $20. Okay, well, if we look over here, 0, 0, because your friend takes out all the money, no months have passed by, so that's why it's $0, right? And there's $0 in her bank account. Okay, well, before we had X, now because we're talking about every month, why don't we just write M, and we'll let M represent months. So let's go over here and write M is equal to number of months. And what will this represent here? Well, I don't know, maybe this can represent the total amount in her bank account, right? Which is 0 right now. So we could write this as total amount in bank account. I don't know, we can choose B for bank. It really doesn't matter. Notice above we use XY. Here it does not matter. So total amount in bank account. Okay. All right. Now that we zoomed in just to be able to see the problem, let's just go ahead and zoom out just slightly. Let's begin to try to understand this. So after 1 month passes by, right, your friend doesn't know this. They didn't have any money in the bank right now. They took everything they had in their savings from their summer job. And what's going to happen? Well, they're going to charge $20. Well, do they have any money in the bank? Well, they don't. They're starting off with $0. So what's going to happen? Well, that's why we're going to introduce negative numbers. Well, they're going to owe. Right, there's going to be negative $20 in her bank account. She's going to have to owe $20 eventually because there is no money and she's going to get charged. So after the second one passes by, well, right, they take away 20 from the bank, from her bank. She started off with 0. Well, they didn't take any money out, so now she owes 20. Well, if they're going to do another, subtract 20 on the second month, how much will she eventually owe? Well, she's going to owe $40, and that's all the negative represents. The negative is representing, let me write that for a little better. There we go. The negative is representing that you're owing money. That's what the negative means here. And now in the third month, we're going to get negative 60 and then negative 80, just subtracting 20. So how do we figure out on the 24th month, that's basically 2 years, how much money will she owe? She never put any money in. We're assuming she never put money in. How much would she owe? Well, I don't want to have to write here and do that whole table all over and over again. So there's got to be a shortcut. Well, what's the purpose of multiplication? My friends, the purpose of multiplying is a shortcut for addition or subtraction. So I know I mentioned addition above, but it's also subtraction. For example, negative 20 times 3. Well, that means that you're going to subtract 20 3 times, and that gives you negative 60, right? Just like we have over here. At 3, it's negative 60. 4. Well, what's negative 20 times 4? Well, that means you're subtracting 20 4 times. And you get negative 80, which is exactly what we get on our table. So after the 24 month, well, all we have to do then is negative 20 times 24. And if we do that, let me just do it over here, and I'll put the negative in a minute. 0, 0, 8, 4, 480. So we're going to get negative 480. All right. This person is going to owe $480 after 2 years if they just completely ignored their bank account. Okay. And that's a really efficient way to solve a problem like this without having to write this table all the time. So how can we write an equation? Well, just because we decided to use different letters, we can say, okay, B, because remember, B represented the total amount in the bank is equal to, okay, well, how much are you going to lose? How much money are they charging you every month? Well, they're charging you 20, but we put a negative because you're going to be owing money. You're decreasing the amount. And we do times, well, what was instead of X? Well, we just did M right? Because M represented the number of months. And, you know, we just did it over here. Well, how much will she owe after 3 months? Well, negative 20 times 3, which is right over here. So we get B is equal to a negative 20M. Okay, or we could have done this as y is equal to negative 20x, just like the problem above, but I'm just showing you that the letters do not matter. It's just understanding that the multiplication here means that we're subtracting negative 20 every time.